Hey guys, thanks for watching. No, I assure you the title of this video is not clickbait, okay? This is actually a video about why Twitter needs to be cooler regarding porn, okay? A lot of you may have noticed Twitter's corporate struggles, their failure to thrive of late. I was really surprised and curious right before the holidays. I went to one of those holiday parties that are, work that claims it's not work. But, it was a social media company, a very well respected one, and they very unequivocally proclaimed Twitter dead for the next 18 months. Facebook, cool. Email, cool. They even saw, purpose within reason of things like, they were very big on LinkedIn. They even saw a place for Tumblr, although they admitted it's still an experiment. Um, Snapchat, Instagram, all these things. They looked at all these things, but the one they were really like on was Twitter. And that sentiment has been echoed all across industry analysts. They, you see Twitter making staffing changes. You see them bringing in an executive to try to, bring gamers back to the fold. Well, okay, you want proof with that? I'll show you proof. Here you go, evidence. Twitter targets video game world with hire from YouTube. Twitter is focusing more on bringing gamers to the popular social media platform with an effort led by an executive lured over from YouTube. Gee, I wonder what that's in response to. I mean, great. Twitter realized it's been screwing up for the last 2 years. On the other hand, I don't think one executive is the way to do this. I think that one of the things that gamers are really big on, trust me, I am one, is rules. And rules that we can predict and rules that we can follow without the rules suddenly changing. We don't want bad code in our social experiences, online and offline. It'll drive a gamer crazy when something doesn't make sense or something's not intuitive. And intuitive is a tricky thing with gamers because of the number of people who are non-neurotypical. And so that's why the Twitter rules are so important. Let's go back to them. There we are. The Twitter rules are so important, and consistent enforcement of Twitter rules is so important. And the big problem with Twitter right now is that they don't consistently enforce their rules, and the big bellwether that shows this phenomenon is pornography displayed without the a sensitive content tag on it. There's a lot of different ways to breach the Twitter rules. There's a lot of rules here, okay? But there are some rules that are breached all the time. Some of the rules are written with things that are, basically I don't know art, but I know when I see it sort of thing. It's hard sometimes to determine whether something is harassment. It's hard sometimes to determine whether something is free speech or hate speech. But, hardcore pornography is pretty easy to distinguish as hardcore pornography. Now, is this defense enough to excuse Twitter's sort of loosey-goosey adherence to their own rules? I don't think so. Because I'll show you the rule. There we go. Graphic content. Okay. You may not use pornographic or excessively violent media in your profile image, header image, or background image. Pay close attention to this next section. Twitter may allow some forms of graphic content in tweets marked as sensitive media. That doesn't mean they will. It means they may allow it. They reserve the right to kill any and all porn. When content crosses the line into gratuitous images of death, Twitter may ask that you remove the content out of respect for the deceased. Now, there's a lot of dead bodies on Twitter. A lot. Every time certain news stories crop up, people spam Twitter with pictures of dead children. I know this because I am profoundly affected by those images, and there have been days that I just walked around feeling broken because I stumbled upon a picture of a dead child. People with a high degree of empathy, that happens, okay? Porn does not make me feel awful all day. And yet, boom, they'll kill porn faster? How do I know? I've seen it happen. Even the writing of the rules, they may ask you to remove pictures of dead people. They may allow some forms of pornography. They're weighing their rules so that they can leave up pictures of corpses, but they can tell you to take away a nipple anytime they want. Okay. The other thing that I find interesting, abusive behavior is allegedly not allowed on Twitter. The reality is, if Twitter removed all abusive behavior, they'd lose 2/3 of their users. Part of the appeal of Twitter as it stands now is free and open access to say whatever the heck you want to people. Unlike Facebook, that forces people to use their real name and in some cases even profile picture. On an account, you can get a page for other things, but Twitter allows people to interact anonymously. And they set a really uneven bar about what they consider abusive behavior. But it says specifically in the rule, abusive behavior. Now, again, any accounts and related accounts engaging in the activity specified below may be temporarily locked and or subject to permanent suspension, meaning it's at Twitter's discretion. And trust me, geeks hate things that are open to discretion because geeks like ones and zeros, black and white. Either the switch is on or the switch is off. Either it's a yes or a no. So things like may not or may drive geeks, including gamers, freaking crazy because it seems completely unfair that something that is against their rules is allowed to happen. And one of these things you see all the time is violent threats, because you'll see here, you may not make threats of violence or promote violence, including threatening or promoting terrorism. Now, this story was everywhere. News emerged that the leader of the Islamic State group, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, had released a message to his followers, delivered through ISIS-aligned social media accounts. ISIS is terrorist, okay, guys? There are fewer cut and dried examples of promotion of terrorism than ISIS-aligned social media accounts, okay? But the 24-minute audio address served as a rallying cry to Muslims around the world to join the cause and taunted the group's growing number of adversaries heading into 2016. I'd question that wording, but we're not looking at the wording here. I'm getting distracted. That's promoting terrorism. I don't know. Okay. And we all know how all over the place the harassment rules are, okay? Like, I don't even know why this bothers to be here. It's there to claim that, they're doing something. But they're not really doing something. It seems, and I can't corroborate this, but just of what I've seen, if you know someone at Twitter, if you're part of that sort of Southern California or Central California social justice group, you can get people shut down for harassment on Twitter. If you're anyone else, it's very, very hard. And, there are a lot of accounts that the minute, I've had this happen quite a few times. I've had somebody tweet me something nasty, usually referring to a genitalia word. And I'll get somebody direct messaging me saying, don't worry about that person, they're a troll. All that account is used for is to harass people and drive money to either their, crowdfunding site or a Patreon or their YouTube channel. It's strictly trolling for bucks. Okay? It happens all the time. And hateful conduct happens all the time. Hate speech. Oh, good God. The stuff that has been said about Muslim people, not the religion, not the extremists that are and doing other horrible things in the name of Islam, without it actually being what Islam says, but actual Muslims, and specifically the migrants fleeing places like Syria and Iraq and all those places. Horrible things said about them. Horrible. Okay? But it's allowed. And now, I want to be clear. I'm not necessarily saying these things should not be allowed. I'm showing what Twitter's rules are. I'm not saying it should necessarily not be allowed. I think it would be an interesting experiment if all forms of obscenity were allowed. But, why is someone allowed to go around going, fuck feminists and fuck Muslims? And somebody tweeted me referring to basically fuck you for defending Muslims, and they referred to Islam as a pedophile worshipping death cult. And it took me a while to even figure out what they meant by that. I am by no stretch of the imagination an expert on Islam. What I mostly know about Islam is that I have friends and colleagues who are Muslim, and they're cool, and I like, celebrating certain festivals with them, and that's all I need to know. Like, that's pretty much what living in Toronto is like. Is your food good? Awesome. We can party. And, just my question is, why does Twitter allow horribly obscene things? Because, let's face it, calling somebody's religion a pedophile worshipping death cult is obscene. It's offensive. Okay? And like I said, I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. I'm just saying they allow it. But why is obscene speech allowed, but obscene images are not allowed? Isn't it essentially the same thing? Aren't they both form of communications? Why can you say fuck Muslims but not show people fucking? That's weird to me. That's just, and these are the things that drive gamers crazy, and that's probably the reason it's driving me crazy right now, because I'm a gamer. This should make sense. Why didn't I come to this conclusion until now? Oh my god, this is the center of the whole thing. But, okay. The rest of the stuff is, the other thing that Twitter is really loosey-goosey about, and sorry about the audio quality right now, I'm almost crawling all over me, but Twitter is also loosey-goosey about private information. I have known instances where they have left up docs of people, and even when it was people I don't like very much because they've been mean to me, it was still wrong, right? It's still wrong to leave up someone's personal information, even if you don't like them. The last thing I want to call your attention to is under abusive behavior, okay? They have self-harm. Now, if this isn't a glorious example of mental health stigma, I don't know what is. Self-harm is not abuse. Self-harm is self-harm. I suppose you could call it self-abuse. But this is lumped in with impersonation, private information, hateful conduct, harassment, violent threats, and self-harm. This should be in its own category about mental health reporting. This should not be stigmatized by being lumped in with horrible freaking acts committed against other people. This is awful. And the reality is that Twitter's reporting function is so freaking slow. Like, I don't know if this goes to another department completely when they get a self-harm report, but like, if it's as slow as the rest of the reporting on Twitter, it's like, yeah, if you're still around in 3 days to a week, we can help. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that this would be portrayed in such an insensitive, stigmatizing, I'll come right out and say it, stupid way. In the Twitter rules, they make spam a separate category, but friggin' self-harm is lumped under abuse? Come on, Twitter. You're better than this. You're better than this. And there's a lot of mental illness and mental health struggles in gaming. So this is not just, me pointing out something to be nitpicky. This is freaking important, and this is something that's important to me. And the only thing, really, in this whole list of things, and I think I've mounted a pretty good case, that even things like terrorism and doxing are meh when it comes to Twitter reliably taking action against them. But the one thing, wham, that's down faster than you can blink is graphic content. And I think this is unfair to porn. I think this is wrong. I think it's sex negative. I think in a lot of ways it's anti-woman. Because let's face it, the majority of porn that is spread around is heterosexual porn or lesbian porn. Now I shouldn't say that. I've seen no statistics. Just the stuff I get spammed with is usually heterosexual porn where some guy who's, that floating penis porn where it's just like torso and rod, and the rod is sort of giving a very attractive woman sort of, let's call it a skin treatment. Yeah, that's what people tend to try to spam me with on Twitter, thinking that's going to somehow offend me. Send me lesbian porn next time, please. No, I'm kidding. But it's so stupid to do that to me, because I've worked with people in the adult industry. I highly respect people in the adult industry. I think it's a legal, successful, and when done properly, potentially absolutely moral industry. I worked at a job where every person on our production team had to have the contracts altered so we could surf pornography at work, because we were interviewing porn stars. It was actually in the boilerplate contract at the television station that I worked at that you couldn't surf porn. And we're like, no, we need this taken out. Essential workplace duty. That it's surreal, but that's what happened. But we all had to see a whole lot of porn. Some of it was pretty filthy porn. Some of it involved hobo clown pictures in the background. I think that when the stigma is taken out of pornographic imagery, I think it takes on a completely different purpose in society and takes on a completely different place in society. It isn't inherently harmful. And I feel the same way about prostitution. It isn't inherently harmful. It's the marginalization that goes on involving sex work that makes all the bad things happen that, we talk about. The marginalization from society makes people vulnerable, and that leads to all the self-destructive behaviors, because they're cut off from, the good folk. And I think it's important to look into the idea. Is it the act itself, which, let's face it, is something people, we need to have sex to procreate. That is the way we reproduce. All right. And some people claim that porn is an artificial form of the depiction of procreation, and you're entitled to that opinion, but the reality is, like, say we took two people and they were normal people. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, or if you want to be really, down the line about it, husband and wife. And they recorded themselves having sex. And they decided they wanted to sell that tape for other people to enjoy. Is that harmful? Might be awkward at some dinner parties, but I don't know that it's really harmful. It's the way people react to it, right? And I had to come to this line of thinking. A lot of, this actually meeting people in adult film and talking to them and seeing how they worked and seeing the working conditions in the high-end companies. But, they're doing fairly well. And obviously it's not across the board. That's a generalization. Some people do fall into the drugs and they do fall into the exploitation. But at the high-end companies, they're pretty careful about this stuff. And then we got to see what happened to these pop idols that came through the music station that I was working with. And they went on a 2-year slide into insanity. It was like freaking clockwork. You'd see, and it didn't matter who the pop princess was. you'd see them at first and they'd come in, oh wow, they were all bright and shiny and their skin was good and their cheeks were full and they looked healthy. And then 18 months to 2 years later, they'd come in as these hollowed out husks, distracted, shell-shocked, hollow-cheeked, just, huh? And they'd go through the motions, but you could see how that industry just hollowed them out. The one exception I ever saw the whole time I was working in music was Britney Spears. And we all saw how she just lost it in spectacular fashion. So I guess she just better, or it all sort of accumulated and hit her all at once. But it was astounding how regularly that happened. And so from my own personal experience is like, either I have to think that the entire music industry, including squeaky clean pop music, is leading to the downfall of society and is inherently harmful, or as some would say, problematic. Or I have to change my views about porn, because I'm seeing what happens to people in these two wings of the entertainment industry, and gotta say, there's no substitute for first-party research. And this is where I get to Twitter's porn problem, and why I think that it's inherently bad that Twitter just clamps down on offensive communication when it involves people having sex. And I'd say 2 people having sex, but sometimes it involves 5 or more. And I mean, obviously there are lines, right? Obviously you don't want child pornography. Obviously you don't want things involving animals. All these things are illegal. We're talking about legal activities. Okay? But Twitter clamps right down on them. And I think this is something of a cautionary tale for Twitter, because like I said at the beginning of this, Twitter is on the ropes. It's struggling to grow. It's struggling to gain users. It's struggling to gain partners, business partners. And I think that's because it's wishy-washy. Facebook decided, and hey, Facebook's record has not been perfect, but Facebook decided that they were going to go persistent online identity. You want to have multiple accounts. Well, that's what pages are for. But it's all got to be locked to a real Facebook account with a real person using your real name. And they got so anti-porn for a while that you couldn't even show women breastfeeding. They relaxed that. But you knew what to expect on Facebook. You knew that Facebook was a very PG environment, and that was fairly consistent. We could predict the rules. We know what we can and cannot do on Facebook. Twitter is a checkerboard right now, and no one quite knows what to expect from this service. And if your rules are not clear and not consistently enforced, people have an unsatisfying experience. They want to know what the rules are, and people don't care how freaking rigid the rules are. Okay, people play Dark Souls and enjoy it. That's so weird. The game, it's essentially, please sir, can I have another, over and over and over again. The game freaking hazes you. But people love those games. They have loyal fans because they understand them. They know going in what they're going to expect. These are the rules. They will whip your ass, but you know that, and they are consistent, and they're the same for everybody. Twitter doesn't do that. And the bellwether for Twitter's inconsistency is pornography. And that, to a logical thinking person not driven by, knee-jerk emotion, is an indicator of a problem. Because porn is legal. So if somebody can say horrible, filthy, awful words to someone, why shouldn't somebody link to horrible, awful, filthy pictures? Right now, Twitter is the Betamax to Facebook's VHS. Okay? Twitter is the HD DVD to Facebook's Blu-ray. And in both those instances, pornography was a bellwether. Not a deciding factor, but a bellwether, a way of predicting who was going to win the format war. And so if Twitter wants to wise up and wants to keep its free speech identity, which is, you see, we believe that everyone should have the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers, okay? If that is their mission statement, then make it truly without barriers. And you can't even say, well, it oppresses women. So does ISIS! This is ridiculous. And in both cases, VHS embraced porn. It was a cheaper format to produce porn. Porn chose VHS. I think actually Sony refused to have it on Betamax. But VHS won. It wasn't because of porn, but it was a predictor. And all over again, I remember having discussions with adult, and they're like, Blu-ray's gonna win. Why? Because we're putting our stuff on Blu-ray. And part of that was the PlayStation consoles were cheap Blu-ray players, ergo more places to put porn, ergo more porn there. But still, porn was a bellwether of who was going to win that format war. So what if that applied to social networks? Well, Twitter is currently illogically and inconsistently more pro-porn than Facebook is. But they're inconsistent. I think they'd be better off in its current incarnation just going full-on pro-porn. Twitter is not a place for children. There's terrorists. There's trolls. There's people, you know, calling you the place you came out of your mommy. That's what it is. That's our service, warts and all. Total 100% free speech experiment. Because at the end of the day, business doesn't care how disgusting you are if people identify with that type of disgusting and are willing to buy products that you're affiliated with. So I think my crazy theory is Twitter should be nicer to porn. Twitter should be more pro-porn. Or at least just not as passive-aggressive with it. Get these rules clean up. Enforce them all evenly and consistently, so we know what the hell we're doing. We want to play this game. We don't understand the rule book, and it doesn't come with the manual, and the code is broken, and there's a new patch that screws it up every time there's a new update. It's like we're playing an alpha of a game. So that's my thought. Let me know what you say what you think in the comments below. This is actually something I am going to solicit comments for because it's an interesting issue. This is just a philosophy right now. It's an interesting sort of, maybe this would work. So let me know what you think. And look forward to it. Okay, thanks guys. Be cool.